First thing I just want to say to everybody, it's great to be back at Heli-Expo. Probably everybody's saying the same thing, but it's really nice to see faces without masks and to be together again. Everybody I've talked to, the excitement is it's just nice. Obviously, the industry is suddenly back in growth mode, and that's a wonderful thing. Last year, for 2021, was a much better year than we anticipated. Even with the COVID issues that occurred last year, we delivered 244 helicopters total, as compared to 177 helicopters in 2020. That's a 38% increase. Deliveries for the individual models were as follows. For the R22, we did 33. So for those people who keep thinking that we're not selling anymore, they're coming back and the orders are strong. We did 125 R44s. That breaks down to 10 cadets, 34 Raven 1s, 81 Raven 2s, and then 86 R66s, which is a pretty nice year to start with. 73% of our deliveries were outside of the U.S., which left obviously 27%, or 65% of the aircraft were delivered here in the United States. This is very similar to all of our previous years. We seem to hover around 70% export, and then 30% for domestic on there. The leading export countries or export sales, they occurred in Australia, Brazil, and Canada. It is always interesting how it changes year to year based on economies, based on sales initiatives or whatever. That it does have an effect depending on certain dealers and things that we have in different countries, and it does rotate. We have to date delivered over 1,100 R66s, and we're pleased to report, and I think I say this every year, that we've not seen any major problems with either the R66 or the R300 engine on there. The cumulative fleet hours, which is based on the utilization rate on the EMUs provided by Rolls-Royce, is right now it's 1,475,000, and I'm told by Rolls-Royce that we can expect to pass that 1.5 million mark in about 2 months on there. That's, to me, is just wonderful. People aren't just buying our ships, they're flying them like crazy. And the hours that are going on there, and as I talk to people in the shows and I talk to people when I'm home, it is how much they're using their aircraft and the variety of uses that they're doing. And that's what we love to see on there. And we want to keep improving that as much as we can. Over the last year, we have seen a steady increase in orders across all of our models, but in particular, we've been seeing it in the R66. As I noted earlier, the deliveries of the R66 last year for the very first time exceeded that for the Raven 2. We think that this is a trend that is going to continue. We think the R66 has found a home, it's found a usage, people now know what it can do, and its sales are really starting to go into a growth mode. Interestingly enough, we've seen this in the past, both with the 22 and the 44. They all seem to take 7, 8 years to kind of find their market niche, to make people say, yes, I can do that job with this, I can make money with that, and then all of a sudden the sales go through an extreme growth period. We really believe that we're just entering that growth period for the R66, and we're very excited about it. Clearly, the talk of COVID is past. We're no longer in recovery mode. We are in absolute growth mode for the next few years. We now have well over 300 helicopters on order, and we're working to increase our weekly production rates, which currently stand at 1 R22 per week, 3 R66s per week, and 4 R44s per week. We're trying to hit those numbers, and then as soon as we hit it, we got to go to the next phase, the next growth on there. Along with new sales, which I've been kindly reminded already today, is our growth in spare parts and components has just exploded over the last 4 or 5 months. Starting about last September, the amount of spare parts and components and field overhaul kits has grown tremendously. Typically, we see close to January 15th, when there's a price increase, we see a surge in orders, and then it takes us a few months to fill it. This particular year, it started in September, and it still hasn't abated on there, which means that we're behind on delivering some field overhaul kits and some parts. And we are, to people that are really down with an AOG order that call us, we're trying to keep them in the air. And I apologize for that. We're doing everything we can to grow as quickly as we can. We have 2 shifts working, everybody's working overtime, and we're hiring like crazy. We don't seem to feel that we have the supply issues that I know some people do. We have a fairly strong supply chain with most of our vendors. Our biggest thing is that we set up a continual delivery schedule, and what we've gone back to now is said, okay, when you were giving us 50 a month, we need 75. You know, you give us 100, we need 150. And so it's trying to work with the vendors to increase those supply on there. Things such as like bladder tanks and everything, where it's not quite so easy to just turn up the volume. But we're doing a pretty good job, and a lot of the long lead time parts so far haven't been an issue. And I'm talking about bearings and some other parts there. But that's getting kind of down in the details, and that's what we love to do back at the factory. I just want people to truly understand that we understand the growth out there and the need for our parts, and I want everybody flying. So we are working and putting that as a priority. And just to give you an example, on the R44 main rotor gearbox, we produce 5 every week for our own production. We're also producing 10 a week for customer service, and it's not enough. And it's something that we're trying to grow. So you can imagine the amount that we're going through. Lucky for us, we happen to have our machine shop in-house that's fairly well equipped, and a lot of the things that people are asking for, we can make them ourselves, and so we are pushing to increase production on there. On the certification and new products that we have, the first thing that I want to talk about, of course, is the EIS, or electronic ignition system, which is now available for the R22 and the R44. It is basically now being installed on all aircraft at the factory. So these are any of the 22s or 44s that were ordered at the last August price increase, or that price level, they are now being installed on the aircraft. We've actually had it available at the factory for 9 months or so. We've been using it internally. We've been using it on the safety course. We are confident that the system is extremely robust. And what it does is it's one mag that replaces the left starting magneto, and the remaining right mag provides redundant ignition and eliminates the need for backup power as a backup power supply. The EIS, or electronic ignition, is designed to last the life of the engine with no scheduled maintenance. Thus, it eliminates the 500-hour inspection on there. The end result is not only improved starting characteristics, but it's reduced maintenance and increased reliability on it. And now we believe we really have something that people are really going to like. I have quite a few comments back from people, particularly that have Raven 2s, on the starting power of it, that it really does help out, which is nice on there. In addition, we continue to upgrade and evolve our avionics and electronics on there. That's a never-ending process as we go forward. And the latest iteration of that is we have upgraded the current Genus Autopilot, as certified a new version, which includes airspeed hold and a washout feature, which is basically if you, say, turn the ship in a different direction without pushing the button and just hold it there for 2 or 3 seconds, it figures out that, okay, that's the new direction you want to go. It doesn't require you to push the button, and then it just holds that position for you. But the biggest thing I think that we find on it is that it is, to us, substantially smoother. It's a nicer ride. It doesn't hunt like the original version, not that the original one was bad, but I think you tend to use it more often now, and that's our goal on all of these things, is like the Governor or whatever, to turn it on and forget it and use it and make it part of your flying experience on there. So we're really happy with that. The other item that we have had now for a little over a year that's proven to be extremely successful is the cabin cockpit camera, which has been very well received. It's a 4K version. The depth of field, so that you can see not only outside but inside the camera, is proving to work really well. It has been standard equipment on the R66, and then optional on both the R22 and the R44. The people that have purchased it have really enjoyed it, whether they're doing flight training or whether they're doing tour operations or other work on there. The feedback that is provided to be able to hand the memory stick to a customer who just took a tour or to a student has been invaluable, and also it's actually already helped out on some when people have seen something odd or whatever in the aircraft, that they get to go back and look at it. And because of the success and how confident we are in it, we are now making it standard on all of the R44s that are purchased at the current price. So that will now be floated into it. As an option in the field, we're offering it for basically $2,500, which I have explained to high levels of the NTSB and the FAA, is really to encourage the adoption of it. And we believe in it strongly and think that it'll help out. We're just trying to get as many of them out there as we can on there. The other options that we have that I can talk about that are they're on display at the booth, and so we would encourage you at some point during the show to stop by, visit us, and see them for yourself. One is the longer enhanced step for easier entry into the R44 and the R66. That's on both ships right now at the booth. And then the other one is the interior Cyclic Guard, which is also available for the R44 and the R66 on there. And the interior Cyclic Guard is it's basically a bar that can be raised that will help prevent your front left passenger from inadvertently striking the center bar of the Cyclic on there. It's just an additional safety, particularly for somebody who is not used to flying. And the thing that my wife likes about it is it has a grab bar right there that you can hold on to from there. Sometimes the passenger in the left seat doesn't know what to grab when they're not feeling comfortable on it, and it gives that in spades, so it's really nice on there. So those are pretty much the updates and stuff that I have, and on the other things, I'll just wait to see what people want to hear about and what they want to ask me about. So with that, I'm going to open it up to any questions that people would like to know.
Just looking ahead to the potential for a heavy fuel study as an option for the fleet, and also what do you think about these electric powered studies that are already experiments in fact that are being done with the R44?
So just so I know, on the heavy fuels, by that I believe you're referring to what the renewable fuels that are available for like the R300 and the Rolls-Royce engine. They already have several that are approved, and they're working towards it. We're obviously in support of having the renewable energy on there, and we're working towards it. Kind of a side issue from that is the current low lead or unleaded issue that's going on throughout the United States. And I just attended the GAMR conference that was a little over a week ago in Washington, D.C. on there. There is, I think, a lot of focus now. We have been asking for it. We have been part of the PAFI program for, since 2014. We have voluntarily tested many fuels for that program, and we really want to be first in line. This is important to us, not just because we live in California, but we want to see and get rid of leaded fuel on there. The PAFI program up until that point was not totally successful. We are working right now with fuels, and we feel and see a dedication from the FAA, Lycoming, all of the participants, the energy companies on there, that we're fairly confident that we will get a solution. And we're already testing fuels for them, and want to be one of the first ones to adopt it. We don't want to have to wait till their 2030 timeline. As soon as we find something available, we'll switch to it. On the eVTOL stuff, we get asked this a lot. We get contacted by companies. There is progress, I guess, being made, but I haven't seen enough of it at this point to want to jump into it. We have the perfect platform, Tier 1 Aviation in Newport Beach. They've already set a world record in an R44 with an electric motor. That is something, and we've encouraged and worked with them on it. When it is available and it makes sense, then we will switch over to it. Like I said, we've put a a regular piston engine. We put, a Jet A engine in there, and an electric engine. That's not too hard to do. We have a very a good aerodynamic platform in which to install it. So when the time is right, we'll do it on there. We just don't see it yet. So what we're working on is some of the future and advances that we're seeing in some of the avionics and the other things that we think when the time is right, it'll make it that much easier to switch over.
Is there any thought to having a litter kit specifically for the R66? We run one of your machines in Cameroon and like it, but overseas, especially, the ability to move people would be a benefit that can't sit up fully.
We have actually, he's asking about the litter kit for an R66. We have actually looked at that. Given our seat structure and the way that our crashworthiness sets, we can't just remove seats, but we have been working on a design as an available option that we have gone forward with. We haven't committed to building it all the way, but it is something we see on there. We actually have a lot of our R44s, R66s, where they will fly medical personnel out to those situations to assist on there. But we have worked on and are continuing to look at some type of a litter kit that can be used out in the field for the 66.
Any plans on IFR certifying the 66?
That's a holy grail. I think everybody would love to see single engine IFR. Okay, that's 10 to the minus 9 reliability. That would take something that you would have to have in conjunction with, say, an autopilot, a SAS system. That's a goal to work with down the road. It's something that is a gleam in our eye that we'd like to see happen, but we have to develop a lot of things as we move towards that. So yes, we would love to see that. Safety first. You have to absolutely make certain that to get to there, that you can handle that situation. The last thing anybody wants is to encourage people to go into IFR conditions and compromise safety on there. But with that said, yes, all the work that we are doing with various companies is towards hopefully getting to a stage where you could have a single engine IFR.
Have y'all considered doing anything different with the main rotor blades as far as trying composites or trying to get away from that bonded stainless steel aluminum?
We've obviously considered it. We've actually worked for various different types of blades. Composite blades are interesting because they're good against corrosion, but they're not necessarily good against erosion. You have a lot of different factors that you're working with. One nice thing about composite blades is that you can get some compounded features in them, but you can also increase price. For the value for the money and the things that we've worked on and some of the changes that we've made to our current blades to eliminate and reduce corrosion, I think are substantial. That's not to say that we're not looking at it, but you have to make certain that what you want and where you're going. We don't want to just build composite blades to make composite blades. That doesn't make any sense to us. And we do look at overall reliability and cost structure on there. We have played with it. We haven't found anything at the moment that we believe would be a superior product. But if we do longer life or whatever, we would come out with it. And I mean, I would tell you, it's one of those things that's always in engineering to take a look at it. But we have made some substantial improvements in our existing blades for both an erosion and a corrosion standpoint. And with the experience that we've built on them, it's really tough to say you want to just change over. And right now, everybody's pretty happy with them. So,
I have a question.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about the market pickup on the cargo hook for the R66 and what you've seen in that market in terms of R66s using that cargo hook and what kind of work they're doing?
It is starting to grow. We've had the cargo hook now for a couple years, I believe. We're starting to see more and more orders all over, both from South America, Canada, and the U.S. going around. It is an area that I think the R66, it's such a lightweight aircraft, and the amount of weight that it can carry is phenomenal on there. So it is starting to gain in popularity with it. I don't work with the actual operators. We sell to the dealers. All we know is that we get orders for the cargo hooks, and we're delivering quite a few of them out there. And it is a market that we expected to continue to increase.
Is there a difference between the cargo hook that you buy directly from onboard systems and the one you install in the factory in terms of load?
No, they're pretty much the same. It just actually, what we provide from the factory is the provisions for the cargo hook. So we do the mount and everything to attach it, and then you go ahead and get the remaining parts from them. And so it's pretty much the same thing with the same load.
So both can lift the same, the one that is installed in the field and the one that is installed in the factory?
That's my understanding, Pete.
Yeah, so the system we offer, we go to 1,200 pounds on the hook, whereas I believe the ST seed versions are 1,000 pounds. At below 7,000 foot DA, you can go up to 2,900 pound maximum gross weight, including the weight on the hook. But what we offer also, of course, is the PIC from the left seat. That's not offered. So the STCs uses the same hook itself, but we have the additional weight and the left-hand PIC available. And we supply complete, so it does come with the hook. Yeah.
Any news on the diesel Jet A1 engine?
That has been a frustrating project. It is something we have been working on since about the year 2000. It's something that we'll probably continue working on there. We've made advancements, but we've also gone sideways on some of it, especially working with some of the engine OEMs on designing it. I would not say at this point that we're any closer. We are still working on it. Would still like to see improvements on it, but I don't have anything to say that yes, we'll have a product within a couple years on there. But it is not something that we've given up on, and we are very much working on it to try and make improvements and make it available in the field.
Yes, you're offering a wire cutter for the R66 and R44, and we had serious problems with Magillian. Do you plan to stick with Magillian, or are you going to have any other vendor to get it? Because we are expecting, and they do not deliver the product for they need more than a year to do that. And we're still fighting, and we contact several persons, and they change all the time the personnel will come with us, and we have serious problems. So we sold a helicopter to a public police in a country, and then we could not fulfill the bid because they won't deliver the product.
Is it the certification? He's talking about the Magellan wire cutters.
That's it.
And again, we provide the mounting provisions, and Magellan provides the wire cutter kit. But they also have to do, if there's a foreign certification, they have to be a part of it. And I would agree with you. We've been frustrated with and worked with them to get things certified and to provide the product out on there. We have been in quite a few talks with them on there. And what they've told us is yes, that they're working on these items and that they're going to supply it on there. But I see your frustration, and I agree with it. We've had to have
now we finished all the certifications in Uruguay and in Argentina, and now they need another 6 months to deliver it, which is well over what we had signed as a compromise.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Are they here?
I'll follow up on it.
Magillian, are they here this year at the Heli-Expo?
Magellan, yeah, I see Pete back there shaking his head, so he can probably point you to their booth.
Okay.
Pete, by the way, is our head of engineering. So,
Any plans for a fully articulated rotor head?
We always look at everything.
Articulated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Multiple blades.
As we develop aircraft or versions of our aircraft, we don't really limit ourselves and say you can't do this, you can't do that. We really try and find what is the best aircraft for the market, what is the best engine, wrap that airframe around the engine, and then what are the things that we can do to improve it. So we're always looking at that. Yeah, one other question there. No.
Thanks. Any project of including the bubble windows for the 66, especially for the rear seats, that would increase the comfort?
We have not looked at bubble windows on the R66 on there. It's actually, I think it's fairly roomy on there. We like to keep the aerodynamics of the ship up. We've also found that bubble windows on the 22 and the 44, they tend to let more rain in. And the ceiling is very difficult on them, so we've kept them. We made the ship wider on there, but then again, you get people that can exceed our wideness on there. And I get why they'd want bubble windows, but on the 66 so far, we haven't done it. All right, with that, I want to thank everybody for attending, and I'll be hanging around here, so if you have something you wanted to ask me, I'm more than happy to answer the question for you.